I don't expect this bill to pass, not that I don't think it's a great bill, and one that every Australian voter deserves finally. It's because the Labor and the Labor Party and the Liberal Party will join together to vote it down for their own interests. There's a simple reason for this. They don't want Australians to be able to see into the dark corners of their dirty, filthy political donations. They especially don't want any attention on the entities both parties use to launder their dirty election money. They know Australians that those fundraising dinners where businesses turn up, Australians, those ones, where they turn up, they pay thousands of dollars to sit there, usually for a dinner where you have an alternate drop, you have salmon on one side and chicken on the other, and by the time it gets to the table, it's cold. That's right, you'll pay 10 or 20 grand for that. I mean, seriously, what a sucker for punishment you are. And the big prize is getting to sit next to the Minister or even a Prime Minister. You might pay a bit of extra for that, but don't worry, they'll take it. They'll take every cent of it. The money from those fundraisers goes into entities. Let's call them shelf companies, because that's what they are, they're shelf companies. And then the cash is funnelled wherever they like to, however they like, and Australian voters, you are none the wiser, although I suspect you are waking up to this. The bill broadens the definition of a gift to cover all monetary and in-kind payment, including the fundraising dinners, so-called business forums. That's right, you pay for them too. Don't worry, you'll get a cheese board at them. That'll cost you 10 grand as well. Good on you, really getting your money's worth. As does membership fees. They funnel into these parties. No doubt someone from the Red team is about to jump at their feet and start bleating on about electoral reforms that Peter Malinauskas, Premier of South Australia, has just brought in. Oh, seriously. Wake up, South Australians. Here's one for you. You have been absolutely blindsided. The wool has been pulled over your eyes, South Australians. Now, I know you're smarter than this, South Australians. I know that. The South Australian Premier says he wants money out of politics. Well, that'd be great if it was true, eh? If you actually made them go and earn their seats instead of buying them. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Imagine the democracy we'd have in this country. But these so-called world-beating laws lock in more money for the major parties and lots of perks for the sitting MPs. More perks for sitting MPs, eh, Australians? More perks. While you're all out there doing it tough, they want more perks. Yay. According to Anne Twomey, the high-respected constitutional lawyer, and I quote, "The funding not only favours incumbents but also has the effect of favouring the government. What's new? Looking after yourselves." Oh, end quote. His reforms give sitting MPs, that's the Premier of South Australia, 80% of their per-vote public funding in advance, amounting to $4.6 million for major parties even before the elections. They haven't even won their seats, they haven't even done that, and they're already paying themselves. How about that? Hey, ask Tasmanians what they think about that. Ask what happens in a state election when you run. You don't get any money back, because, my God, if you even mention that in Tasmania, they will give you an absolute uproar. It's like mentioning toll fees on our roads. Your government's finished. They don't have the guts to do that because they know very well they're finished. But to make them pay up front? Jesus, what's the South Australian Premier on? What are you on, mate? His proposed reforms also changes the definition of gifts, so that professional services are not counted as gifts. It keeps getting better, doesn't it? Just keeps getting better. In other words, big accounting or legal firms are allowed to contribute to a sitting MP or major party. It wouldn't be counted as a donation. How about that? But we don't already have enough problem with outsourcing and the filth that's going on there. But guess what? This doesn't apply to independents, Teals, and I'm assuming it doesn't apply to the Greens. There are funding caps in these laws, but they don't apply to third parties who give to the majors. That's right. Forgot about the third parties. There's layers and layers of them, Australians. There's layers and layers of them. These are the entities that can funnel dark money back into the coffers of major political parties. All up, the Premier's reforms would get South Australia's major parties over $15 million in your taxpayer cash each election before they've even won their seats. So if you think this is a great idea and your Premier of South Australia is doing you a favour, open your eyes, South Australians, because he is not. He's not. He's setting power up for himself and the Labor Party, and the other one there, the Liberals. That's what he's doing to you South Australians, taking your money because he doesn't care. Even when things are really economically tough, he's over there trying to sell this rubbish. Trying to sell the rubbish. The state's major parties have a nasty habit of designing electoral laws to feather their own nests. What's new? Why once again locking out independents and micro-parties? Apparently we shouldn't be in Parliament. We're the swirl that lives up here. In the background, that's the ones. In the last election, the primary vote for both major parties fell. At least a third of Australians didn't vote for you. And that's what the South Australian laws are all about. They are designed to favour the major parties, that's it, making it harder for people like me to be elected. And according to wide reporting, that's exactly what the Federal Labor Party's electoral reforms will also do. Minister John Farrell has been out there spruiking the Labor government's intention to bring electoral reforms to the federal government. And all he is doing is selling a dud to Australian voters. It's beyond Farrell what he's trying to do to you voters out there, I'll be honest with you. And guess who the South Australia's Premier's mentor is? Have a guess. Have a guess. Minister Farrell, that's right. Don Farrell, Minister Farrell and Peter Malinauskas are from the same faction of the South Australian Labor right. Peter Malinauskas, when it comes to voting reform, is nothing but the muse for Minister Matt Farrell. That's what you South Australians are getting, a dud, an absolute dud. If Minister Farrell takes the same approach to public funding as his protege, Peter Malinauskas, this would mean $254 million of Australian taxpayers' money while you're out there doing it tough, eh? While you're out there doing it tough. And these guys over here reckon they know how to win an election. Seriously. That money would only flow, most of the majority of that money would only flow to the major parties. That would only flow to the major parties, Australians. If this government is really serious about levelling the playing field, they would jump on board this crossbench bill. They would jump on board this today because it is fair for all. It is fair for all. Because it's getting to a point, the only way you're going to make it in politics is if you go with one of the major parties or you've got $10 million in your bank. Because it's the only way you're going to win a seat, unless you're already, as an independent or a micro-party up here, established. Nobody else is getting in here. You're not even getting a C in. No more of those preference deals where you can pick 0.05% and make your way up over the other little micro-parties. Remember, because Malcolm Turnbull took that away from you, they took that opportunity away from you as well. There's no way for you to make your way up here. This bill also tackles truth in political advertising. But of course the red team won't see this, absolutely not, and neither will the blue team, because they don't really want more transparency. Transparency is not in their veins. It's just not there. They don't want to make things any fairer for normal Australians to have a shot at getting up here and making a difference, those ones with real-life experience that haven't come through prestige education, making their way up here without earning it. They want to lock down their power with your taxpayer dollars. That's what they want, Australians, with your dollars. At an economic time like this, what a disgrace. The majors have tried this before, in 2013. But backbenchers, and I'd remind you once again, and it is a worse economic situation now, the backlash with the public was absolutely outrageous. They were absolutely outraged, and you dropped it. And if you think it was bad back then, try your luck today. Try your luck today. Imagine all of us, the Tills, the Independents, the Greens, putting in 10,000, 20,000 each and running ad after ad in newspapers for weeks. Imagine how much damage that's going to do to you. Imagine how much damage that will do to you. And I'll tell you what, there's talk of it, we'll do it. I'll chuck my 20 grand in, I'm happy. I'll tell Australians the truth. I'll be open and honest with them. because that is what they expect. That's what I'll do. As Laura Tingle and Phil Corey wrote at the time, back in 2013, and I quote, "Both major parties have suffered a fierce public backlash after it was revealed on Monday night they had been secretly negotiating for more than a year a package of donation reforms which also included the generous extra public funding." End quote. End quote. A few months ago, I asked Minister Farrell if he had done a deal with the coalition to pass electoral laws that would effectively lock in laws that would financially benefit majors. He said no. He said no. If Minister Farrell was telling the truth, then he should show the Australian public he's fair income and back in this bill. He should back in this bill. If he doesn't, the small amount of faith Australians still have in the major parties will keep falling, and voters will turn in even greater numbers to independent micros. So you be my guest. You try your luck. You try your luck. I'm keen. I'm keen. You bring your bill on. Let's see what you've got. Let's see how the public feels about that, and we will fight you. We will fight you out there and press at every turn. And if you think that's going to win you more seats in the next election, once again, be my guest.